Okay, today I'm going to do something that I haven't done for almost a year. I am going to be working on my art. Now, I have been rather upset with everything that's been going on, but today I don't want to hear about COVID-19. I don't want to hear about Black Lives Matter. I don't want to hear about politics, religion. I don't want to hear about vaccines. I don't want to hear about all of these evil things that are going on in the world. I've had it. I'm stressed out. I'm sick of this life, and I figured it's been far too long since I worked on my art. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to attempt to do something rather new. But before that, I want to show you something. I want to switch to my display capture, and I'm going to open up my web browser. Okay, and let's see, I'm gonna stop it from going to my email because it does that by default. I'm gonna go to YouTube because there's a video that I uploaded back on November 10th that I want to show you. So anybody can do this. So go to YouTube and search for Chastity's Art Show. That's the title of my video currently. So, and it's funny that the other results show Sonny and Cher and Chastity, because Sonny and Cher had a daughter named Chastity. There's a long story about that. She later became a man named Chaz. But anyway, this video at the top is my video. And I just wanted to be able to show you this video because I upload this video, hardly anybody noticed. But yes, this is all my art that I designed a long time ago, and I want people to be aware of this video that shows all my art. That way you get a preview of everything that is in my, I'm not going to show you the whole video, but you get the idea. That video shows you pretty much a preview of all of the art that is in my published art books, and in the description of that video I have links you can click on to see my art books I've published, as well as buy my art on clothing on society6.com. So people don't realize this, but I used to be quite the Inkscape artist, but unfortunately it's been far too long since I've done anything with it. So let's see here. What do I have? I don't know what these files are. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I do art. Let me make sure I'm recording. Yep, I'm recording properly, it seems. I think so. Yes, I am recording. Okay. So I'm going to open up Inkscape and I'm going to show you a little bit about how I do art. And I actually have this really wacky idea. I don't know how long it'll take to do, and you have to understand some of my pictures took hours for me to do. Some of those pictures that are part of that video, you know, and that are in my art books. I mean, I've spent countless hours on my art, but unfortunately I had been too depressed to do my art for a long time. So I'm going to show you, this is Inkscape, the program that pretty much all of my art has been done in all this time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Document Properties. I'm going to select pixels as the units, and I'm going to make it 720 by 720. That is how I do things, and there's a certain way I customize things. So, okay, I don't want it. Yeah, I want it to show the page border, but I don't want to show the border shadow. It even has a checkerboard background for the alpha areas if I want that. But so here's the thing, is that I'm going to customize this particular image the way I want. So the background color, we're going to make it be opaque white. We're going to keep this to black and white for this image. So what I'm going to do here is, because I have a folder in my documents called Inkscape. I'm going to save this as drawing, and also I wanted to save it as a default and I believe there is a way to do that as well. I keep forgetting to do this because I haven't set this up since I originally there is a specific folder. This is important for other Inkscape users. So there is a specific folder. I'm trying to remember where it is. Yes. So if I go to the C drive and I go to users, chastity, there are hidden files in places, and I knew this from reading the Inkscape documentation a long time ago. I don't know if it's showing me hidden files or not right now, because there is there's all sorts of things. I do want to figure this out. Am I viewing the hidden? Yeah, I am viewing the hidden items, but yeah, see, there's a certain file that's a certain folder that saves your preferences. You can save a default image to automatically open. Maybe it's in documents. It's weird. I do not remember where it is. That's weird. I remember it was something like app data or something like that. Where is the app data? Oh, here's the app data folder. There it is. Okay. So I believe, I don't remember if it was local or if it was roaming. I'm going to look back at this video to remind me of what it was. Let's try roaming, because yes, roaming, Inkscape, templates, yes. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, because you know I saved this drawing here as drawing.svg. What I'm going to do next with this blank image is I'm going to open a new tab. I'm going to go to my Documents and Inkscape folder. I'm going to copy that to this templates folder, and I'm going to copy it here, and I'm going to save it as default.svg. If I remember correctly, I could be wrong. That's what you do if you want to have a default image that you always have at the beginning when you first load Inkscape. So it'll automatically load me with my preference. Now, that's one thing I did. Now, what I'm going to show you next is I'm going to go back to Inkscape. Now that I have my default image here with 720 by 720 pixels, I'm going to show you a few things that can be done. See, you can draw freeform lines like that, the same as with a pen. If you have like one of those things that you draw with like an actual pen type thing digitally, then you can really do some fancy stuff. But yeah, you can do a straight line tool. You can even make curves a specific way. So I used to do a lot of this. It's been a long time since I've done things like this. You can even do 3D box type things. And there is a circle tool. You can make any type of oval. And if I hold, okay, so I want to show you something. So if I hold the shift key while I do it, it holds it in place. Now if I hold control, it kind of helps it snap to a certain ratio. If I hold both, I can kind of keep it to where it's a perfect circle. And I can even do other incredible things, like I can make it be part of a circle. It's very weird, and I actually, whoa, I'm not even sure how it ended up like this. This is weird looking. Whoa. Okay, anyway, enough of the circle tool. There's also the Polygon tool. So you see this, yeah, there's a hexagon. It has 6 corners, but if I can make it go down to 5, 4, 3. So yeah, for example, let's say that I wanted to, okay, if I do Control-Shift-A, it's a shortcut I used to do a long time ago. Yeah, then I can align this thing. So if I align it to the left edge, it ends up there. If I align it to the right edge, it ends up there. I can do all kinds of things. But if I select center on vertical axis and center on horizontal axis, it ends up right in the middle. So I set this shape to be right in the middle, and I make it bigger. So then, starting from there, let's go back to the Polygon tool. Now that I have the shape in the center, now it's outside of the bounds. See, I need to make it just a little bit smaller here and recenter it here. So now I have that, but then let's go back to triangle, square, pentagon, hexagon, septagon, octagon, nonagon, decagon, and after that it gets weird. I forget the names of them. But the more corners you add to a regular polygon, the closer it becomes to a circle. Now you can also do star polygons. See, this is very interesting. So let's go back. So this is a star. When you do the star tool, you can do strange things. You can, whoa, see, I can modify that. I can make all kinds of bizarre shapes. I honestly, I don't know how to control this very well. I really don't. Whoa, I can change the numbers here, and I can make the shape altered in all sorts of weird ways. So yeah, as you see, there's a lot of capabilities of Inkscape. I mean, this video so far would be a good demo of what Inkscape is capable of. However, here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out by making a checkerboard, because I have something in mind with checkerboard. So see, this is the rectangle tool. I can make a rectangle of any size, and you can even do fancy stuff like, yeah, you can change it. You can even make the corners round. So like if I want to make a round rectangle like that, I can do that. And if you make a, it's funny how that is, because now it's a circle. Isn't that weird? How it's a square, but then if you change this, the square becomes a circle. I have just circled a square. That, oh, whoa, what in the world? Oh, this, okay, yeah, this is really fun. Oh man, yeah, that's crazy stuff. Anyway, I want just a regular plain old rectangle. So in other words, I have to put that back up there. Wait, what is it doing? Okay, so now what we have is just a plain old regular rectangle. Now what I'm going to do is let's see, I can turn on the grid. I just press Control and then Sharp, and Inkscape just crashed on me. Oh, temporarily. Okay, so another thing I can do in the properties here, I probably should have saved this as part of the default thing, but you can make a grid. So I can actually customize the grid to be something I want. So I'm going to have a grid. The spacing is going to be 32 by 32 pixels. And you can even have it separated to major and minor type of lines. It's very bizarre how this is. So I'm trying to make sure I do this right. So I have this grid, and I'm not entirely sure why the grid is the way it is. This is weird, because I'm pretty sure I set the document properties right. Wait a minute. Let me check something here. Yes, so the units are pixels there, and the grid units are pixels there. Yeah. So it's weird. Yeah, that's kind of mysterious, honestly, because wait a minute. Oh, I think I know why. Maybe 32 doesn't go evenly into, because if 32 doesn't go evenly into 720, that could be my issue. For example, on any Windows computer, you just type calc and you can open the calculator. So sometimes I have to do some math here. So let's do 720 divided by 32. 22.5. Okay, so it doesn't go in evenly. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to instead use a grid spacing of 16 by 16. Yes, yeah, that's a good way of doing it. See all the details, everything, even making a checkerboard is a very detailed process. So anyway, now here's what we have here. I'll just start out by making a brand new rectangle. See, here's the grid intersection here. I can, now that's interesting. Okay. I wonder why it's doing that bizarre thing. It's trying to make it's trying to make a square. Okay, it's trying to make a circle. Okay, so I made this square. Now that I have the square, I'm going to move here. See, it snaps to the grid. A grid is super helpful. I can snap these corners to a grid. So let's put this in the upper left corner and let's make it smaller. Now I need the snapping options are here. Okay, this snaps nodes, paths, and handles. See, snapping is on, and there's all sorts of things. So snap nodes, paths, and handles, and yeah, I've forgotten a lot of these. Snap other points, centers. No, I don't want it to do the centers and guide origins. Okay, I want to turn that off. I just want it to, yeah, I'm trying to get it to snap just right. Let me see here. Maybe if okay, yeah, I got it here. You know, this is interesting because, see, 16 ends up being just a little bit small. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird. That is kind of small when I think about it. But I wonder what's the best way to do this, because I like my current size, but I guess I kind of need bigger squares. I want this to be slightly bigger. So I'm going to start out, I'm going to make this, actually, let me try this. Let's try, okay, so the size of this, okay, this is weird. The units were not set to pixels, yeah. Okay, let me try this. So now you see I have this particular thing. Why do the units keep going to millimeters? That's not what I want. Yeah, I hate that there's all these different units. I only use pixels in computer graphics. I'm going to turn the grid off, and see, while the grid is turned off, then it's different, you see. It doesn't snap to the grid while the grid's invisible. And by the way, in case you're wondering how I figured out that shortcut, the page grid is the £. So what I have here is I am duplicating these, and once I have some, then I can duplicate that group. What I'm doing is I drag and select them, and then I do Control D and duplicate. See, I know pretty much all of the keyboard shortcuts because I used to use this program all the time. I'm just extremely rusty because it's been so long. So I'm going to try not to let this world distract me from my art too much. And let me make sure the recording is still going. Wait, I'll close that. Yep, I'm still recording just fine. So that's Open Broadcaster software, in case you were wondering. So now that I have all of that, let's make a group of that. And see, I can move it, and I do Control Z, put it back where it was. But then I duplicate that, like that, and like that, and like that, and like that. Yep. Yeah, so as you see, I have just created a checkerboard. Now there's a little bit of extra there. So we have a thing. So this little bit extra, see, I have this as a group of 15 objects. But now that I have filled the whole area with the checkerboard, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select all of them. I'm going to ungroup them with Control U. No groups and group. So we have there are 120 objects. I'm going to select these down here, and now what are we left with? We have 113 objects. which is actually very strange. It's an odd number. Okay, so here we have, yeah, we have all of this stuff. I'm just making sure everything's absolutely right here, that I didn't accidentally, what in the world? Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm just checking to make sure I didn't overlap anything. Not that it would make much difference. Wait, oh, I just realized I accidentally undid that deletion of all those. So we can see where the border of the image is. You can see really closely. If I zoom in and go, you can see that the lines that show where the border of the image is. So anything that goes outside of that will not be shown in the final image. So here's what I'm going to do. I have my checkerboard, and let's see. I'm still not sure why it's millimeters. Let me go. Okay, I am going to have to go into my preferences. I want it to show me pixels as the units. So the interface, where do I go in all of these settings? Let's see, because there's so many different settings in Inkscape. It's an absolutely huge program. But if you think Inkscape is big, you should try GIMP, which that's for editing, you know, pixel type graphics, bitmaps, whereas this is vector graphics, what Inkscape is. But why is there a way to select the type of units? I'm not sure what the deal is there. It's very weird. I don't even know where to go, and that would take me forever to figure out. So anyway, but I do know when I change it that there's 48 pixels. So I'm going to save a copy of this. I'm going to name it Checker 48 pixels, because that's where the image is full of a checkerboard of size 48 pixel squares. So it's very weird that way. So now I'm going to take this entire thing. See, I can rotate it. Isn't that cool? Okay, so I have this. I'm going to group these together. And you see, I can rotate this. I'm pressing the bracket keys. It's very, very strange. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, so when I press the bracket keys, it makes it step by about 15 degrees. And I know that because the preferences for, let's see, because there's a certain place, yes. So there's for scrolling, there's snapping, yes, the snap indicator, and you can modify this to control the snapping, which I don't really understand a lot of that, honestly. So that's for transforms, yes, steps. This one is important. Rotation snaps every 15 degrees. So that's the thing is I'm going to, yeah, so let's suppose I want to change that. Well, there's two ways to do this. First of all, if I want to snap by a certain custom amount, in fact, what I'm going to do as a backup is I'm going to take this group, I'm going to duplicate it, I'm going to move it outside the image there. Then I'm going to go back to here. Now I can do Control-Alt-M, but I'll also just show you, let's see, because there is a, if I go to Path, I think it's Path or Object and Transform, Control-Shift-M. And you see the other one, Align and Distribute, Control-Shift-A. That is the other one I was doing earlier to put the shapes in the center. So we have the Transform dialog here, and the Transform dialog can do pretty much everything. But for right now, we're gonna rotate things. So it has degrees and radians. So I'm just currently, let's have it be 1 degree, and there's counterclockwise and there's clockwise. So let's try counterclockwise. You see, it rotates it by 1 degree clockwise each time. Counterclockwise. Now if we make it go clockwise, it's a very interesting thing. So that's something that's very interesting. Now, but if I do just the brackets on the object itself, it does it by multiples of 15 degrees. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to show you something. The easy way to do this, and you'll see why I made a backup. Because I rotated that thing, I lost the way it originally was positioned. So gonna put the grid back up here, gonna go back here, now it's centered back on the grid, right in the center of the image here. So then, instead of having my step be 15 degrees, it's going to be 1 degree. And I can select from all these. It doesn't let you enter custom degrees apparently, but I can do 1 degree, or I could do half a degree if I want. So let's do 1 degree of rotation. So I'm out of the settings, and I select this object, and now as I rotate it, see how that is? Isn't that cool? I'm rotating the object. See, I can rotate it clockwise, I can rotate it counterclockwise. So that's actually an extremely interesting idea when you think about it. It's really just quite neat. So yeah, I can do amazing stuff like that. So yeah, and you see, that's the thing, is when you do it like that, when you do it, whoa. I'm holding the key, and then it's acting really freaky. Oh man, that is so cool. That is so cool. I like the look of this. And when it's rotated back to its 90-degree position, it's back to 720 by 720. So it's very interesting how that is. So I can actually rotate it. Now here's something you'll notice. Now when it's rotated, notice that some of the squares are going outside of the boundary. And then there's empty space inside the boundary of the image. And why is this important? Well, you're about to see. So, if I export a PNG image, now you have to understand that you have to have a PNG image or some other type of image format if you're going to upload this to Facebook. Because although web browsers support vector graphics, most social media sites do not. So if I export this PNG file to Documents Inkscape, where I'm at, I'm going to show you what it looks like. So I better open up this folder again. Okay, Inkscape. So now, wait a minute. Where did that file actually go? Did I put it in some Chassis Documents Inkscape drawing? I'm pretty sure that I had saved it, so maybe I really forgot to export it. Let's see here. Okay, oh yes, now we have the 3 things. So here we have the 3 files. Now, drawing.png. You'll see this pop up in my image viewer. Now you see how this is? There's empty space there because there were squares that part of them ended up outside the image boundary and some of them are still inside the image boundary. So it's really cool because obviously I want the whole thing to be filled even when I rotate it. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to correct that, and there's a way to correct that. But first let's have fun by rotating it a bit more. So here's the solution I have in mind. So I'm going to go here and we'll have the original there, and let's put this here. Okay, so let's put this here. So let's try something. Let's try ungrouping these squares. We have 113 objects, and let's try adding another layer here. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to try adding some that are outside the boundary. The idea is that the ones that are outside of the boundary before it's rotated will end up on the inside of the boundary after it's rotated. So that's kind of my reasoning there. So I'm actually just duplicating the squares and putting some of them outside the image boundary, which seems like a quick solution for the type of thing I'm actually trying to do here. So yeah, it looks like we need just one more square here. So now that I have this one, I have some that are inside the image boundary. It's hard to see the image boundary here. Yeah, some are inside the image boundary and some are outside. By the way, how do you like my pretty colors down here? It's actually kind of cool. See, I can take an object and I can change the color of it to whatever I want, and I can even for example, select a certain region of them and change the color of that. So I can do all kinds of amazing stuff. So you can actually do pixel art in vector graphics if you're weird enough to try it like I am. I've done that before. So I'm gonna take all of these, put them back to black, and I'm going to group that. So now I have a group of 145 objects, which is actually very interesting. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to duplicate that now, because now I want that as a backup. So now you see I have the original one that only filled the image. Now I have one over here that slightly goes outside the image boundaries. So now that we have that, let's see how it is. So yeah, very interesting. So now I'm going to rotate this. Oh, I need to select this. Yeah, now that's pretty good. Oh yeah, you see how this is? It still goes a little bit outside of the image boundary. That's the thing. So what this really means is that I'm going to have to add a few more layers until the entire thing stays in, like, so there's squares inside the whole image, even no matter how it's rotated. So that's what I'm going to do now. Is I'm going to, yes, you see how much work this takes. This takes a lot of work. I don't know how long I've been recording right now, but it's very strange. So actually, to make this editing process simpler, I'm going to change my grid size. I'm going to change my grid size to 48 by 48. And you'll see now the grid size is exactly the same size as my squares. So it's kind of cool. So now we can see that, okay, I need to select that, and now I'm going to add another layer. I don't know how many layers of squares outside the image boundary that I'm going to have to add, but let's just try adding one more. Basically the same thing I did before. Just like that. See, you see how much faster this is doing this with vector graphics than traditional bitmap graphics. That's because these are not pixels, these are vector objects, these are vector rectangles. So they are actual shapes registered in the Inkscape program. And vector graphics there's many different formats. The default one used by Inkscape is SVG, which is my personal favorite. So now I've added another layer. Let me try adding another one. Okay, so now we have that. So now what I'm going to do is, let's back this one up. Let's make a copy of that whole group, and then let's see how this looks. So I'm going to have to zoom out, because now I do different zooms. There's the keys 1 through 6 actually do different things. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So it's very interesting how this is. So what we see though is I have to actually view the page, and then I have to zoom out because our actual image is bigger than the image boundary, which is very weird, and somehow the grid lines don't look quite right. So I'm going to disable the grid lines, going to go back to page view, and then we'll see how this is. So hopefully it will be slightly visible here. So now that I have this, I'm going to rotate it. Whoa, that's actually pretty cool. However, you see that there are still times when it ends up being outside the image boundary. This is actually very interesting though, because something about this looks weird. Okay, there it is. Yeah, but yeah, whoa, oh, that's some crazy stuff. See, when I hold the key, my computer's not fast enough to display it as it rotates like that. So yeah, that's just weird. That's very weird looking. So it looks like I'm going to try adding another layer to this. This is, yeah, that's just the weirdest thing. So what's weird though is there seems to be a mismatch, because there on the bottom right corner there doesn't seem to be much empty space. I think that's because it's actually moving its center of origin as it rotates, which is very weird. So what I'm going to do now, okay, we're going to duplicate, okay, I'm not going to duplicate this. I'm simply going to move this thing back here. Okay, I'm going to have to make sure I get this right. Yeah, you see how much work this takes? Because I'm trying to do a very specific thing. So there are, yeah, this goes to outside of the image boundary. I think that's the way it's working. In fact, I'm going to ungroup this just so I can check that. Yeah, there's that one that's too inward like that. Yep. And then down here, let me make sure it's the same way. Yep. Yeah, see, these two are outside the image boundary. So this means I'm going to have to add yet one more layer, or maybe two more layers. I don't really know. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep adding layers to this until the end result is that when I rotate it, no matter how much I rotate it, there's still squares inside the entire image boundary. And that image boundary is the only part that's actually going to be exported when it's exported to a PNG file. So it's exported on Facebook or Twitter, as the case may be. Actually, I tend to do things on Facebook. I don't like Facebook very much, but that's another story. But it does let me share my art. In fact, I have a lot of art on Facebook already, and it's kind of one of those things where I'm thinking, I really don't want my Facebook account to be deleted, because there's a lot of art on there that may not even be anywhere else. So that's another video for another day, is me going through all of that art. But anyway, so let's see here. I believe I've successfully added another layer. But okay, so yeah, see, I have this object over here, but I want to select, if I try to select all, it selects that one too, and that is not what I want. So I just have to click and drag this. We have 221 objects. Oh man, that is just crazy. Yeah, that's pretty crazy right there. So now let's duplicate that. How weird is that? Okay, so now I got that moved over there. So now what do we have here? Let's take away the grid there, and let's rotate this 1 degree at a time. Now, so far as I rotate this, it doesn't actually look like the squares ever, like there's ever really empty space. The empty space really appears to be the, Whoa, isn't that just crazy? That's really crazy. That is beautiful, I tell you. That is just really beautiful. Yeah, I like it. Let's hold the key again and see what happens. In fact, while I'm at it, I'm going to show you something else. I'm going to show you the other thing. So we can do move. So if I have it move, let's see here. Yeah, I can move it like that. I can skew it by certain angles. So like I can do, see how that is? Oh, it's very weird. Oh yeah. Whoa. How strange is that? Yeah, so you see why I make backups of my objects before I transform them like that. But yeah, that's just really creepy. So what I have here is I have a basic form of what I can do. This is actually very impressive. I had no idea this video would go on as long as it has. So now, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to have to, yeah, I see what I'm going to have to do. Now that I have this kind of the way I want it, I'm going to have to do sort of, because I like the way I have this now. However, I have to make sure that things really are the way I want them. So, yeah. So let's see here. If I ungroup this, yeah, so yeah, we got, yep, I'm just kind of checking this out. Yeah, I think, yeah, okay. I'm going to undo all of those steps. All of those things are back in there. And if I undo, they're a group again. See, because I'm doing Control Z to undo my actions. So I get it back in the state exactly that it was. So now that I have that, I'm going to make just a, I know what I'm going to make this here. Now that looks like a black rectangle. See, it covers over that. However, you're about to see what I'm doing here. So, let's see here. This is very interesting. See, I can move objects. Whoa, isn't that cool? Oh man, that is cool. That is actually really cool. So see, I have this object behind the other object, so I can totally do that. So for example, since I have this shape where I want it, let's just make a backup of that shape. I can select this shape itself. I can rotate that shape, or I can select the black part and rotate that. Yeah, that's cool. Although actually, now that I transformed that, I'm going to revert it to the last saved state like that. Okay, yeah, that's good. I like the way that turned out there. Okay, so I'm going to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's see, okay. Yeah, I'm going to make a rectangle here. But instead, this time I'm going to do something different. I'm going to make it have a black stroke of 1 pixel. I'm going to remove the fill of it. So now, that rectangle is actually our new image boundary. Is that cool or what? That is the actual new image boundary. So, yeah. That's cool. And see, since this is just another rectangle, it actually snaps to the grid as well. So now I have this, I actually have this just the way I want it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, Okay, so I'm going to save a copy of this image because, yeah, this is important. Okay, let's see. I'm going to name this the I'm going to call this the Rotate Ready Checkerboard. Yes, this is the Rotate Ready Checkerboard. And as you can probably guess, okay, that's just a copy. I'm still working on drawing.svg, but that's simply a nice copy there. Let me make sure, yep, important. I have Rotate Ready Checkerboard. So it's the reason I call it there is because it's ready to be rotated in the exact way I was showing you. So now, you know, you can see how this sort of works. So now I don't know how long this will take, and I probably have been recording for a long time already, but I'm going to show you the basic idea, well, or at least I think I am. So let's see, how long have I been recording? Does it show me how? I've been recording for about 45 minutes so far. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this recording now and then do a part 2. We'll see if the part 2 turns out okay or not. We will just have to see. So I'm going to stop this. Goodbye, everybody. Hope somebody's enjoyed this.